Fox News alert. 2 American citizens have been found dead in Mexico.
Today, we learned the very sad news that Mexican state and federal authorities recovered 4 U.S. citizens kidnapped on March 3rd in Matamoros, Mexico. 2 U.S. citizens were returned to the United States. The bodies of 2 other U.S. citizens killed in the same incident were also recovered.
This all comes after the trigger-happy Gulf cartel opened fire on a van carrying 4 Americans coming from South Carolina. Video showed cartel foot soldiers callously dragging the bodies of their victims and stacking them into the backs of their trucks. The 2 dead victims, who were finding out were later ditched on the side of the road, were identified as Shaid Woodward and Zindel Brown. Mexico still hasn't returned their bodies. What a great ally. As for the survivors, they were kidnapped and held for days in a dirty stash house on the outskirts of town. One of the survivors, Eric Williams, was found with a bullet wound to the leg. The other survivor, Latavia McGee, was the reason they were in Mexico to begin with. Latavia went to Mexico to get a tummy tuck operation. They traveled all the way from South Carolina just to save $3 grand by getting the procedure done in Mexico. Little did she know she was entering Gulf cartel territory. Mexican law enforcement say the decision to kidnap U.S. citizens likely came from the top of the cartel, from the leader of the Gulf cartel himself, Jose Alberto Garcia Villano, also known in Mexico as La Quena. They knew they were snatching Americans. The Gulf cartel is one of the oldest and bloodthirstiest in Mexico. They operate out in the open. They kidnap our people just a stone's throw from Texas. This is where they do their wet work. In Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, the cartel runs an extermination camp. They light you on fire and leave you for dead. They say over 1,000 souls have been burnt at Camp Death. You'd think the Mexican government would step in and say, hey, Gulf cartel, maybe move the extermination camp a few miles back from Texas. You know, the Americans can smell the corpses. But the Mexican government kept quiet because the Gulf cartel owns the Mexican government.
Juan Garcia Abrego in Tamaulipas, head of a gang of smugglers whose roots stretched all the way back to alcohol prohibition. They switched over to the drugs trade and the Gulf cartel was born. By the mid-90s, the leader of the Gulf cartel, Ociel Cardenas, recruited a group of Mexican special forces who defected and joined him as the armed wing of the Gulf cartel.
So sadistic and sinister cartels control our border. Last time something like this happened, 2019, when just miles from the border, the cartel crew slaughtered a family of 9 Americans just on the way to a wedding, pumped them full of bullets, and then burnt them alive. So how long are we going to ignore our crazy neighbors?
So cartels kill Americans on this side of the border with drugs, and now they're killing Americans on the other side of the border with guns. Why is President Biden so comfortable with cartels operating so close to the U.S.?
Well, let's be very clear. Let me take on the drug part here, because since you brought this up, because of the work that this president has done, because of what we've done specifically on fentanyl at the border, it's at historic lows, historic levels that we have been able to record a number of personnel working to secure the border because of what we've been able to do. Seizing that fentanyl, we've done it in a historic way. That's because of what this president has done. And look, we've also coordinated, made sure that we're coordinated our relationship with Mexico to deal with what we're seeing as it relates to violence, as it relates to cartel. That is something, a relationship that we've continued to build with Mexico, an incredibly important partner.
Let me translate the binder. Binder says Biden's seizing a ton of fentanyl and has a great relationship with Mexico. Does anybody really believe that fentanyl trafficking is down? The cartels are richer than ever. Does anybody really believe Biden has a good relationship with Mexico? The Mexican president snubbed Biden in L.A. at the Summit of the Americas. Didn't even show up. And if Biden's strategy is to rely on the Mexican government to handle the cartels, then Biden doesn't even understand a thing about Mexico.
The Mexican government is being held hostage by tens of thousands of paramilitary members of terrorist organizations that effectively control Mexico. It's pretty close at this stage to a failed narco state. They can use violence and oceans of cash to corrupt the government. It's impossible to work through the Mexicans because whenever you give information or try to work on a law enforcement basis with the Mexicans, the information goes right to the cartels.
Now, if you can't trust the Mexican government to crack down on the cartels, we have to take matters into our own hands. So, what is the White House's policy on the cartels? Well, we asked the State Department and the Defense Department, and we couldn't get an answer. The best they could do is tell us not to go to Mexico unless it's the Ritz-Carlton. But Senator Lindsey Graham told Primetime last night, we have to put the military option on the table.
If you continue to give safe haven to fentanyl drug dealers, then you're an enemy of the United States. I'm going to introduce legislation, Jesse, to make certain Mexican drug cartels foreign terrorist organizations under U.S. law and set the stage to use military force if necessary. I would tell Mexican government, if you don't clean up your act, we're going to clean it up for you.
Primetime supports putting the military option on the table. But look at the cartel's footholds in the United States. After the cartels took over narcotics distribution from the mafia, they just dominate the drug game in every American city. Look at that. They're everywhere. So if we lob a missile at a cartel stronghold in Mexico, the cartels could retaliate and easily blow up a courthouse in Atlanta. So is this the answer? Stop doing so much cocaine? Because America's appetite for cocaine is what's making cartels so rich. America loves coke. So that's not going to happen. Just look at Hunter. So do we cut a deal with one of the cartels to kneecap the other two? Do we play two of the cartels off of each other or against the Mexican government? I don't know. Because the missile strike inside Mexico proper is going to set off a trade war. Mexico is our biggest trade partner, and they make a ton of our cars and jets. Probably not going to be great for business. But are we just going to surrender and say 100,000 dead Americans a year is just the cost of doing business with Mexico? No. This is a high-profile killing and comes on the heels of some emotional fentanyl testimony that put the White House on the defensive. So whatever the White House strategy is on the cartels, which is ignoring them, isn't working. And a lot of the momentum is building for President Joe Biden to take action.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.